Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister. And Minister, just before you come in, I know you met some of the apprentices there, and I think we really need to hear what they have said. I thought their contribution was extremely valuable in terms of informing where we need to go in relation to apprenticeships. So I want to thank them for that. St Brendan's in Belmullet also said thank you for the message. My son is in the Leaving Cert class there, so no, you're tracked. We've had several conversations about this, obviously, in the Dáil, and we agree with the sentiments of where you're trying to go with this. We really need some time frames on it. Time frames in terms of the reduction of the fees and the other things that are mentioned in it, because when we're looking at castles, if we're looking at a lot of these changes not being introduced until 2026, that's 10 years after castles, and we are in an ever-changing environment as we have been. So my concern is that we cannot keep up with, or that we're just going to be working behind all the time, and people really want to see timescales on where we're going, both in relation to the SUSI reforms and in relation to the deficit there. And I know you'll agree that the deficit, the austerity that the third level sectors we're reaping the negative things from that in terms of our workforce planning, and in terms of being faced with a situation where we may have the situation this year again where people have maximum number of points but cannot get the high demand courses. So I don't know if you have any further information than last week in terms of the extra places in the high demand courses. If you have, I would ask that you would give us that information. I want to ask you as well, just in terms of the technological universities and the borrowing ability, when will that be in place? When will they be in a situation where they can borrow? I want to say two immediate things to you just in terms of the timing, because of the cost of living crisis that we're experiencing and the ever-increasing inflation. The timing for SUSI this year, is there a way it can be brought forward? And the timing for the Student Assistance Fund, we get back from that all of the time that it's October, November before. So people, the stresses and strains of actually getting the place in college and the upfront costs, is there a way that we can make that more accessible earlier because of the cost of living crisis that we're in? But we'll leave it at that because I want to leave you time to answer. It's short space. Go on.
Thanks very much, Deputy. And I echo your comments in relation to the apprentices. I think one of the voices we do need to hear more of is actually apprentices. We hear a lot from agencies, representative good people, but the voice of the apprentice, I think you're right, and it was good you had them in today. Look, in relation to timelines, and it's a valid question, I think we now have a shared understanding across the sector, and I think across the Dáil and the Shannon, as to what needs to be done. The €307 million figure hasn't been disputed. I think there's a good technical papers to explain how we got there. It is about getting on and delivering it. People reference Cassell's. I mean, it is just important to say a lot, and the review found this, a lot had actually happened since Cassell's. One of the myths going around the place was that Cassell's did his work, very good work, from 2014 to 16, and then it kind of sat on a shelf, whereas actually Cassell's talked about a figure of $1 billion. If you actually look at the technical report, as you have, it's now down to 307 million. So it does show that there was a lot of movement, particularly post kind of 2016 and onwards. We start now is the honest answer. So I mean, you referenced 2026. I'm talking about starting now in budget 2023. The pace at which we can deliver it, out of respect to all my government colleagues and the collective that we form, I mean, it is a matter for the estimates process. However, I will say this. I mean, there's 3 budgets left, all going to plan in the lifetime of this government. And, you know, a €307 million figure, I think we should be able to significantly close that gap during those 3 budgets. And that's what, and I think that's a shared ambition across government. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn in relation to that. So we have 3 budgets, €307 million. I think we can make an awful lot of progress on that figure in the 3 remaining budgets before the next general election. In relation to extra places, I truthfully don't have any more information, but I am finalising a memo to government. I expect to bring that memo to government very shortly. We will be trying to provide, as I said to you on the Dáil last week, 1,000 or thereabouts additional places. A little bit different to previous years, and I know this is something you've called for. We're targeting in high demand areas where there's both high demand in terms of students looking for it, but also a skills need. Specifically those areas around medicine, nursing, engineering, environmental areas, and medical scientists as well. So I'm very happy to share the information with you once I've briefed Cabinet. In relation to the technological universities, just to be clear that provision does exist now. So we have clarified that the Housing Finance Agency is in a position under legislation to borrow. That's not, I suppose, the same thing as saying that the structures have been in place or the tradition in the sector have been put in place, but legally it is possible now, as of now, for that to happen. And I think you make a fair point about the Student Assistance Fund and the timing of it, considering the immediate pressure students can face at the start of a college year, and I'll certainly reflect on that and see what we can do on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.